Belonging in Anacostia is an amazing gift because I grew up in this area, and as a result of growing up and attending Anacostia Senior High, I get to serve people that I grew up with. You know, I know their moms, their grandparents. I see people who come through here. I'm like, I remember you when I was a kid. So it's just so good to be able to come back and give back because I've not always been here. I didn't always know where I was supposed to be. My name is Angela Drawn, and I am the Family Success Center Manager at Martha's Table for the Anacostia Family Success Center. I had a life with a mom that was a working mother, and my parents had separated. My dad moved back to Connecticut, so my mom was raising my brother, my sister, myself, all by herself. And at times she had to work 2 jobs. So some of the times we had a lot of challenges growing up, but we had a lot of love. So even though we lived in Ward 8, we saw things happening in the city. We had a very southern home. And so my mom was very determined about us holding tight to those values. I didn't always feel like I belonged, not in the community, because at times people would pick at me and they would call me horrible names. And as a kid growing up, you know, your identity is so important based on what your peers think about you, not necessarily what your parents tell you or who they tell you that you are. So I believe the voices that my peers was telling me that I was ugly, that I had, you know, horrible scars, and they would call me terrible names. So I had some real hardships growing up in terms of my self-esteem. But even if I didn't feel like I belonged, I still was going to serve, because that's just how I grew up, feeling that I had to serve, and particularly living in a house filled with older people. Anything from washing the dishes to sweeping the floor to helping with the groceries, all those things are service, you know. And so I just grew up that way. Because I grew up with my grandparents also, and I was in their house at the time when they were empty nesters. I was always helping people. And my grandmother was a very big community help. She just helped people, she served. So I've always had that desire to serve. And because my grandmother, as beautiful as she was a functional illiterate. She couldn't read. And so because she couldn't read, she was big on humility. She was big on showing people love and hospitality. And so my grandmother instilled the need for service in me. It's just something that I grew up with. Even though I needed service myself, I just grew up with that understanding how important service is. So my name is Angela Drawn, and I am the Family Success Center Manager. When this position eventually came available, I had all the right skills to walk in this job. So I was able to serve people empathetically. I wasn't looking down at a person because they needed a pair of shoes or they needed a bag of groceries or anything. It was me giving them what I needed when I was down. No judgment whatsoever, but love, because love is a more excellent way. As a result of serving them through the lenses of empathy and love, I'm telling you, I belong here. I finally understand my why I had to go through all those things. Why was I bullied? Why didn't we have clothes? Why? When I understand the why for such a time as this, I am here now because of my whys, and I appreciate that. So yeah, I belong here. I belong here because I experienced a lot of the things that my community members are and have experienced. And I will continue to work to try to build resilience with them, using the protective factors with the families to help strengthen them and take them from surviving to thriving. Because that's what it took for me. And that's what I hope to always give back to them. Yeah. Thank you.